The worthless inheritance. The law office smelled like old leather and disappointment. Jake Wilson sat in the corner chair, his worn jeans and faded jacket making him look like a delivery boy who had wandered into the wrong room. Across from him, his cousins Mark and Lisa whispered to each other, their designer clothes, probably worth more than Jake made in a year at the recycling plant. "I still can't believe they called him," Lisa said, not bothering to lower her voice. "Uncle Bob probably left him a participation trophy," Mark laughed. "Or maybe his collection of alien conspiracy magazines." Jake kept his eyes on his phone, pretending not to hear. Uncle Bob had been the family joke for as long as he could remember. The crazy inventor who lived alone, talked to the stars, and claimed he had friends from other worlds. Jake was the only one who ever visited him, bringing groceries and listening to his wild stories about visitors from beyond Earth. The lawyer, Mr. Gray, entered with a thick folder. His expression was professionally neutral as he adjusted his glasses. "Thank you all for coming. As you know, Robert Wilson passed away last week. His will is unusual, but legally binding." "Just tell us what we got," Mark interrupted, leaning forward eagerly. Mr. Gray cleared his throat. "To Mark Wilson, he leaves the mansion in the hills, valued at 50 million credits." Mark pumped his fist. "Yes, I knew the old man would come through." "To Lisa Wilson, 100 million credits worth of shares in various tech companies." Lisa squealed with delight, already pulling out her phone to check stock prices. "And to Jake Wilson. Mr. Gray paused, pulling out a small metal box. "He leaves this." Jake opened the box carefully. Inside lay an old brass key with strange markings, a rolled-up star chart, and a handwritten note. The room went silent for a moment before Mark burst out laughing. "A key? That's it? Oh man, Jake, you really were his favorite." Mark wiped tears from his eyes. "What does it open?" "His garden shed." Lisa giggled. "Maybe it's for his alien spaceship." Jake unfolded the note, reading Uncle Bob's shaky handwriting. "Look where the three moons dance. You're the only one who ever believed. Trust Max." "Who's Max?" Jake asked the lawyer. "I have no idea," Mr. Gray replied. "That's everything in the will." Jake left the office with his cousin's laughter echoing behind him. The metal box felt heavier than it should as he walked to the subway station. The key was warm against his palm, almost like it was alive. That night in his cramped apartment, Jake spread the star chart across his kitchen table. It showed Earth's solar system, but something was wrong. The chart depicted Earth with 3 moons orbiting it, not one. He traced the orbital patterns with his finger, and suddenly the key in his pocket grew hot. Jake pulled it out, watching in amazement as symbols along its surface began glowing with a soft blue light. The glow pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. When he held it over the chart, the 3 moons aligned perfectly with notches in the key's design. A memory surfaced. Uncle Bob owned an old warehouse in the industrial district, a place he'd forbidden anyone from visiting. Jake had driven him there once when Bob's car broke down, but his uncle had made him wait outside. At midnight, Jake stood before the warehouse. It looked abandoned, covered in graffiti and rust. The main door had an old electronic lock that shouldn't have worked, but when Jake inserted the key, machinery hummed to life. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Inside, Jake's phone flashlight revealed nothing but empty space and concrete walls. Then he noticed it, a section of floor slightly cleaner than the rest. The key grew warm again, pulling his hand toward a hidden panel in the wall. When the key touched the panel, the entire floor began descending. Jake rode the platform down into a massive underground hangar that stretched out like an aircraft carrier's deck. Emergency lights flickered on in sequence, illuminating something that made Jake's knees weak. A spaceship. Sleek, metallic, and definitely not from Earth. It was 200 meters of curved hull and strange geometries that hurt to look at directly. As Jake approached, a hologram materialized. "Welcome, heir of Robert Wilson," a synthetic voice said. "I am Max, military auxiliary Xenotech. Your uncle waited 40 years for the right person. Congratulations. You've inherited humanity's future." Asterisk, the galactic truth. The hologram flickered, and suddenly Uncle Bob stood before Jake, looking younger and wearing a flight suit Jake had never seen him wear in life. Beside him stood a being that made Jake's brain struggle to process what he was seeing. It was roughly humanoid, but with silver skin that seemed to shift like liquid mercury, and eyes that held the depth of nebulas. "Hello, Jake," Uncle Bob's recording began. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and you found my greatest secret. This is Crix, my friend from the Galactic Alliance." The alien beside Bob raised a hand with too many fingers in what looked like a greeting. When it spoke, the voice resonated directly in Jake's mind, despite the hologram's lips moving. "Greetings, young human. Your uncle saved my life 40 years ago." Bob's image continued. "I was hiking in Alaska when I saw Crix's scout ship crash. Everyone else would have run or called the military, but I pulled him from the wreckage and hid him while he healed. Crix was here to test humanity, to see if we were ready to join the Galactic Alliance of 500 peaceful species." Jake sank onto a nearby crate, his legs unable to hold him anymore. Max, the ship's AI, materialized as a blue geometric pattern, floating beside him. "Should I continue the playback?" Max asked. Jake nodded, unable to speak. Crix's image stepped forward. "Your species failed our test. Too much war, too much greed, too much division. The Alliance voted to mark Earth for observation only, but your uncle showed me something different. He risked everything to save a stranger from the stars. So I gave him this ship and a chance. The Alliance will return in 6 months, Bob explained. They'll test humanity one final time. If we fail, Earth gets quarantined for 1,000 years. No contact, no technology, no help while the universe advances without us. But if we pass, Jake, if we prove we've changed, humanity joins the galactic community." The hologram shifted, showing star maps and alien worlds. "There are 3 trials," Crix said. "Wisdom over warfare, unity in diversity, and sacrifice over self-interest. The ship contains everything Earth needs to pass, but only someone with the right heart can operate it." "That's you, Jake," Bob added. "Not Mark with his greed or Lisa with her vanity. You who brought groceries to a crazy old man and listened to his stories. You who works at a recycling plant because you actually care about the planet." Jake stood up, walking closer to the hologram. "But I don't know anything about flying spaceships or alien technology." As if responding to his voice, Max projected a neural interface headset from the ship's hull. "Your uncle's DNA has been encoded in my systems. You share 23% of his genetic markers. This will allow you to sync with the ship's controls. Initial training will take approximately 72 hours. Jake picked up the headset, surprised by how light it felt. The moment it touched his skin, information flooded his mind. Not painful, but overwhelming, like trying to drink from a fire hose. He saw navigation systems, defensive shields, faster-than-light travel equations. "Remarkable," Max commented. "Your synchronization rate is 98%. Your uncle's was only 71%. 3 days later, Jake could pilot the ship like he'd been born to it. He was practicing maneuvers in the underground hangar when every alarm on the ship activated at once. "Incoming transmission from beyond Neptune," Max announced. "Alien origin." Jake's hands trembled as he accepted the communication. A face appeared on the main screen, humanoid, but with lavender skin and completely black eyes. She wore a uniform with symbols that hurt to look at directly. This is Commander Vera of the Altarian fleet. Identify yourself, human. Our sensors show you're operating Alliance technology, which should be impossible. Jake straightened his shoulders. I'm Jake Wilson. I inherited this ship from my uncle. He knew someone named Crix. Vera's black eyes widened. You're Bob Wilson's heir? I need to speak with you privately. Encrypt this channel. Max complied, and Vera leaned forward. Listen carefully, human. The trials aren't what they seem. Certain. Alliance members want Earth destroyed, not quarantined. They've rigged the tests to be impossible. Your uncle suspected this, which is why he prepared more than just one ship. More ships? Jake asked. Check his star chart in, Vera said. And remember, humanity's greatest strength isn't your technology or weapons. It's your ability to surprise us. Good luck, Jake Wilson. The galaxy is watching. The transmission ended, leaving Jake staring at the blank screen, the weight of humanity's future crushing down on his shoulders. Asterisk. The first trial, Wisdom over War. The Alliance battlecruiser materialized near Jupiter, like a small moon appearing from nowhere. Every telescope on Earth turned toward it, and within minutes, the internet exploded with blurry photos and wild theories. Jake watched from his ship's cockpit as humanity collectively lost its mind. Admiral Torque's transmission reached every screen on Earth simultaneously. His reptilian features and 4 arms made him look like humanity's worst nightmare. Come to life. Humans of Earth, his voice boomed in perfect English. Your first trial begins now. An asteroid approaches your world. 10 kilometers wide. Impact in 72 hours. Stop it without weapons or fail. The transmission ended, leaving 7 billion people in panic. Jake's communication system immediately lit up with incoming calls from world governments. He ignored them all, focusing on Max's sensor data. The asteroid is real, Max confirmed. Trajectory confirms impact with Earth-specific ocean. Extinction-level event. Through news feeds, Jake watched Earth's response. The United Nations held an emergency session. Military generals appeared on every channel demanding nuclear strikes. The President of the Americas announced they would launch their entire arsenal within 24 hours. Are going to fail the test, Jake muttered. Correct, Max replied. Weapons-based intervention equals automatic failure. Jake knew he had to act. He activated the ship's broadcast system, overriding every communication channel on Earth. His face appeared on billions of screens. Standing in his alien spaceship's cockpit. People of Earth, my name is Jake Wilson. Yes, this ship is real. Yes, aliens exist. And yes, we're being tested. If we use weapons on that asteroid, we fail, and Earth gets cut off from the galaxy forever. The broadcast ended, and Jake's phone immediately rang. He almost laughed when he saw it was Lisa calling. Jake? Her voice was tiny, scared. Is that really you? In a spaceship? Yeah, Lisa. Turns out Uncle Bob's inheritance was worth something after all. Within hours, scientists from every nation were contacting Jake. He shared the ship's gravity manipulation technology with them, explaining his plan to redirect the asteroid rather than destroy it. Jake piloted his ship toward the massive rock tumbling through space. Earth watched through telescopes as his small vessel approached the asteroid. He extended the gravity field, feeling the ship strain against the asteroid's mass. Power consumption. At 60%, Max warned. 70, 80. Jake gritted his teeth, pouring more power into the gravity wells. Slowly, painfully, the asteroid began to shift. Not much, just a few degrees, but at this distance, it would be enough. He guided it into a stable orbit around Earth, turning humanity's destroyer into a new moon rich with platinum and rare minerals. Admiral Torque's ship broadcasted again. Acceptable solution. However, the trial is not. Alarms screamed through Jake's cockpit. The asteroid was breaking apart, revealing it had been hollow. Hundreds of drone fighters poured out, immediately targeting Earth's satellites. They moved like angry wasps, weapons charging. "It's a trap," Jake breathed. Earth's military response was instant. Missiles launched from a dozen countries. Fighter jets scrambled. The Space Force prepared its orbital weapons. "No," Jake shouted into his communicator. "Don't engage." That's what they want, but it was too late. The drones weren't attacking, Jake realized. They were waiting for Earth to strike first and fail the trial. Jake's mind raced. Then he remembered something from his recycling plant job. Every machine had programming. Every code could be rewritten. He broadcast the drone's signal patterns to Earth. Not to the military, but to something else entirely. The Internet. "Hackers of Earth, I need your help. These drones are running on code. Alien code, but still code. Help me crack it." Within minutes, thousands of programmers worldwide were analyzing the patterns. A teenager in India found the first vulnerability. A grandmother in Norway identified the command structure. A coding collective in Brazil wrote the virus. Instead of destroying the drones, they reprogrammed them. The swarm that had threatened Earth transformed into a mining fleet, ready to harvest the new moon's resources. The weapons became tools. The threat became an opportunity. Admiral Torque appeared on screen again, his four arms crossed. "You turned our attack into your advantage. You chose cooperation over combat." He paused, and Jake could swear the reptilian face showed surprise. Clever ... for primitives. The transmission ended. Earth had passed its first trial, but Jake couldn't celebrate. He stared at the star chart Vera had mentioned, finally noticing what he'd missed. Tiny marks indicating locations across the solar system. Uncle Bob hadn't built just one ship. He'd built a fleet, and humanity was going to need every single one. Asterisk the second trial. Unity in diversity. 12 ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars in broad daylight. Each vessel was completely different. One looked like living crystal, another seemed made of pure energy, and a third appeared to be grown rather than built. Jake stood with the world leaders at the landing site in neutral Antarctica, the only place all nations had agreed upon. Admiral Torque's hologram appeared above them. "Your second trial. Accommodation. 12 species will live on Earth for 30 days. Each has specific needs that conflict with others. Make them all comfortable or fail." The first ship opened, and Jake immediately understood the challenge. The methane breathers from Titan II emerged in environmental suits, their atmosphere toxic to humans. The second ship released beings of living crystal who needed temperatures below freezing. The third brought energy creatures who required massive electrical fields that would kill anything organic nearby. "This is impossible," the UN Secretary General whispered. By day 3, Earth was failing spectacularly. Russia refused to accept. The sulfur-breathing volcanics. Several American states declared the shadow beings from dark nebula demons and banned them from entering. Corporations tried to capture the silicon-based builders to study their technology. Jake watched the chaos from his ship, his head in his hands. "We're not going to make it, Max." Current probability of success, 12%, Max confirmed. That's when Jake realized his mistake. He'd been trying to lead alone, thinking the ship made him special. But humanity's strength wasn't in one person. He needed a team. Jake recruited 4 people. Anna, a diplomat from Kenya who spoke 12 Earth languages. Tom, an engineer from Germany who'd lost his legs in an accident, but never lost his ability to solve problems. Maria, a chef from Mexico who believed food could bridge any cultural gap. And surprisingly, Amy, a 7-year-old girl from Japan, who'd sent him a drawing of humans and aliens holding hands. Why her? Anna asked, looking at the child coloring with crayons during their first meeting. Because she sees what we've forgotten how to see, Jake replied. The team's first innovation came from Tom. We're thinking about this wrong. We don't need to change Earth for them. We need to create spaces that adapt. Using Jake's ship technology, they began building Unity cities. Each district could maintain different atmospheres, temperatures, and conditions. The methane breathers got their toxic air. The crystal beings got their frozen territories. The energy creatures got their electrical fields, but technology wasn't enough. The aliens were lonely, scared, and suspicious. That's where Maria came in. Every species eats, she said simply. Let me cook for them. It seemed insane, but Maria studied each species' biochemistry and created dishes they could enjoy. She made methane-infused clouds that tasted like the Titan's home delicacies. She crafted frozen geometric patterns that the crystal beings could absorb. She even figured out how to feed the energy beings using flavored plasma fields. The breakthrough came during week 2. Amy had wandered into the crystal beings district, which should have killed her from the cold. But she was wearing a special suit Tom had designed, and she was teaching a young crystal being how to play hopscotch using laser patterns on the ice. Someone filmed it and posted it online. Within hours, the video had 1 billion views. Humans worldwide began volunteering to be guides and companions for the aliens. A punk rock band figured out how to make music the shadow beings could enjoy. Surfers taught the liquid metal beings how to ride waves. Teenagers showed the hive-minded collective how to use social media, which fascinated them. By week 3, something beautiful was happening. The aliens weren't just tolerating Earth. They were enjoying it. The builders helped construct homeless shelters in exchange for lessons about human art. The volcanics used their heat to provide free energy to cold regions. The energy beings powered hospitals during blackouts. On day 29, Jake received an encrypted message from his cousin. Mark, need to meet? Urgent. They're coming. Jake met Mark in an abandoned warehouse, similar to Uncle Bob's, but empty. I screwed up, Mark said, his usual arrogance replaced by fear. After the will reading, I was angry. I made contact with some black market alien dealers, sold them Earth's defense codes. They're planning to invade during the final trial tomorrow. Jake stared at his cousin in horror. How many? A whole fleet. They call themselves the Scavengers. They prey on worlds during their trials, when defenses are down. Jake's communicator buzzed. All 12 alien species were reporting positive experiences. The vote was 8 in favor of humanity, 4 against. Earth passed the second asterisk. But as Jake looked at his terrified cousin, he knew the real test was just beginning. The final trial, sacrifice, and ascension. Admiral Torque's announcement came at dawn. His image appeared above every major city, forearms spread wide. Your final trial. A star in the Vega system is dying. Its explosion will destroy 3 inhabited worlds with 10 billion souls. You have 1 ship capable of creating a warp bubble to evacuate 1 world. Choose. Save yourselves from any future threat, or save strangers you'll never meet. The Alliance fleet positioned itself around Earth, watching, waiting. Jake knew this was the test they expected humanity to fail. Self-preservation was logical. Who would risk everything for aliens they'd never met? But Jake had bigger problems. Through his ship's sensors, he detected the scavenger fleet hiding behind Mars. Over 100 ships armed with weapons that could crack Earth like an egg. They were waiting for Earth to send its only defender away. Max, show me Uncle Bob's star chart again. All of it. The hologram expanded, and Jake finally saw it. Marks across the entire solar system. Not random, strategic positions. His uncle had been preparing for 40 years. Max, send activation code. The Three Moons dance. Across the solar system, hidden facilities powered up. From Mars underground, from Jupiter's moons, from asteroids nobody had ever paid attention to, ships began emerging. 100 automated vessels, each identical to Jake's, but painted with names: hope, courage, kindness, wonder. Jake's communication system exploded with incoming messages. Each ship had a pilot, people Uncle Bob had secretly recruited over the decades. A teacher from Kenya, a farmer from Vietnam, a nurse from Peru, a street artist from France. None of them warriors. All of them chosen for one quality: they had helped strangers without expecting anything in return. This is incredible. Anna's voice came through. She was piloting the ship called Unity. Your uncle built an entire fleet? He knew one ship wouldn't be enough, Jake replied. He knew humanity would need to work together. The United Nations held an emergency vote while the scavenger fleet began moving. The result was unanimous. Save the three worlds in the Vega system. You're condemning Earth to destruction, Admiral Torque warned. The scavengers will attack the moment you leave. Earth's president responded over the global broadcast. Then, we die doing the right thing. Jake divided the fleet. 50 ships would go to Vega for the evacuation. 50 would stay to defend Earth. But as the scavengers emerged from hiding, Jake knew 50 ships wouldn't be enough against their weapons. That's when Naria, the chef from his team, made a suggestion that sounded insane. What if we don't fight them? What if we confuse them instead? How? Jake asked. Music. Amy, the 7-year-old girl, said. Uncle Bob's journal mentioned the scavengers navigate by sonic frequencies. Play music loud enough, strange enough, and they can't coordinate. It was absurd. It was impossible. It was perfectly human. As Jake's evacuation fleet entered warp toward Vega, Earth began broadcasting. Every radio station, every speaker, every device capable of making sound played simultaneously. Rock, classical, jazz, K-pop, children's songs, and thousands of other genres created a cacophony that reached into space. The scavenger fleet froze. Their precise formations dissolved into chaos. Ships bumped into each other. Weapons fired randomly into space. Their queen ship sent furious transmissions that nobody could understand through the noise. Meanwhile, Jake's fleet reached Vega. The dying star pulsed angry red, maybe hours from exploding. The three worlds were in panic, billions of beings crying for help. We can't create warp bubbles big enough for entire planets, Tom's voice crackled through. The communication system. Then we make smaller ones, Jake replied. Thousands of them. Every ship creates micro bubbles. We evacuate them city by city, family by family. For 6 hours, human pilots pushed their ships beyond all limits. They ferried aliens to safety, knowing each trip might be their last. The dying star grew brighter, more unstable. Back on Earth, the scavengers had adapted to the music and were advancing. Earth's defenders were outnumbered and outgunned. Mark and Lisa, in a desperate attempt at redemption, had taken shuttles up to negotiate, offering themselves as hostages. Then, the impossible happened. The 12 alien species Earth had hosted sent their own fleets. Earth showed us kindness. The crystal beings transmitted. We return it. The scavengers fled. The Vega worlds were evacuated with minutes to spare. A star exploded in brilliant light, but no one died. Admiral Torque's fleet surrounded Earth, but now in salute rather than judgment. In 10,000 years of trials, no species has ever chosen to save others at such risk to themselves. A figure materialized on Jake's bridge. Uncle Bob, but not a recording. Real, solid, alive. Hello, Jake, Bob smiled. Sorry for the deception. I'm half human, half Altarian, the first hybrid. I needed to know if humanity was ready. Ready for what? Jake asked. To join us, to explore, to grow. You've inherited more than a ship, Jake. You've inherited the stars.